Hey Gengar Gang, what is going on? My name is Ryan, this is the Analytic Gengar, and welcome to another video. In today's video, friends, we are going to go over some of the most interesting PWCC auctions that ended this week. But before we get started, happy Thanksgiving to everyone that is celebrating. Happy Indigenous People Day to everyone who is celebrating. And if neither of those are applicable to you, I hope you are having an amazing Saturday. So today, this week was super interesting for a variety of reasons. I ended up having a situation play out where I didn't get to upload on Tuesday, so I ended up uploading on Wednesday. And then I felt weird uploading on Thursday because it was both Thanksgiving as well as the day after I had just uploaded. So I ended up uploading on Friday, and then I was like, well, if this is the case, then all the videos are going to get messed up. So today's video will be uploaded on Saturday, the 28th of November, and period, end of story. I'm not messing around no more. And then, of course, next week's videos, expect them to come out like normal. Probably going to do another PSA reveal. I also have some other stuff to open up, so expect a little bit more product openings. There's been tons of stuff on sale for Black Friday, so I'm also very excited to get a whole bunch of that opened up. And just take a peek. You'll never know what we'll pull, right? So between Champion's Path, I do have some more Hidden Fates, etc., etc. Should be looking at a fun couple of weeks in terms of openings. And, of course, some more of this type of content coming out as the weeks progress. But without further ado, let's get into it. Right here, I have my trusty YouTube. I can't speak today. I noticed, I've been recording a few videos today. Bear in mind, if you hear me say something completely nonsensical, sorry. Anywho, so good news is that we have my eBay page up and going here. And here's the way that I went about it. I basically just highlighted or watched those items that I was interested in. However, at the end, I ended up adding a few more because I thought they would be able to make a good video about, some of the more interesting auction items that sold. So without further ado, let's jump into it. I'm actually going to start from the back, if that makes sense, and then work our way forwards. So the first one that I have watched as ended is a first edition shadowless Hollow Blastoise. This is the OG. This was graded a Gem Mint 10. We had 53 unique bids at $45,100. The previous high, I believe, was from a Japanese box, or rather from a Japanese auction house, and it sold for about $30K. So this is about $15,000 more than that. And what's really impressive about this is that this is now very close to a $50,000 Pokemon card. Blastoise is probably the second most popular starter Pokemon from the original 3. So I do believe that this card was, coming up, and to see it sell for such a high price is pretty dope. I do expect it to only continue to go up in value, especially being one of the original water-type Pokemon. And, just a really cool card to see. I was really surprised to see the rapid change in price on this one, but literally that can be said of every single Pokemon trading card ever this particular year. Next up, from the same base set, first edition set, we have the Gem Mint 10 Chansey. Last sold for about $20,000. Leonhardt pulled one of these the other day. This is actually really cool, and I love this because this is another one of those cards that, just because of its age and the set that it comes from, it carries such a high premium. Do I think Chansey is the most expensive Pokemon ever? No. Do I think its particular species of cards is going to carry this higher premium? No. This is the only Chansey card that's probably going to sell for this much money ever, or even closely resemble this much money ever. My argument, however, is that it is one of the 12 or so original holo cards out of base set, and this is why it carries such a wickedly high premium, in addition to the fact that it is incredibly hard to grade given all that holographic pattern. Next up is probably the card everyone was looking at, $295,000 for a PSA 10 Gem Mint Charizard. There are probably a lot of folks right now that are very happy, approximately about 120 of them, who are very happy that they purchased one of these when they did. This is the new high for this card. Even Logic, who purchased the card back in like October of 2020, he only purchased it for about less than $250,000. So even literally having done nothing, he has made about $40,000 to $50,000 depending on the exact sale price. So this is an impressive feat, all things considered. It'll be interesting to see another one of these cards sell for just as much money. Here's the thing and why I'm optimistically cautious about each of the past three. They're all base set, but they were all sold by PWCC. PWCC has been known for shill bidding in the past, and even though PWCC has confirmed that this particular sale happened and is being or has been paid by the time you're watching this video, it is kind of important to now watch what happens next, because in order to establish price history, we're going to need more than one price. And so far, each of the past three cards that we've looked at have broken their previous sale record. So it'll be important for another one of these cards to sell for just as much money, if not more, in order to really help cement it as the new price. So, something to be optimistically cautious about as we continue forward. Randomly, a 1999 fossil. So this is a first edition holo Aerodactyl PSA 10, sold for $1,200. So I thought that was pretty cool. The reason I watched this card and why I wanted to mention it in the video, I think we've literally pulled 3 of these on the channel. So I just found it really funny because assuming they get graded a PSA 10, I guess that's how much I can look forward to once I have them in my hands. Starting from the bottom, here is a no rarity symbol holo Charizard PSA 9, sold for $57,000. Now, that no rarity symbol holo Charizard is particularly rare, so to see it carry such a premium is not really a surprise. Of course, you also have the fact that it's Japanese, it's base set, and it's only a 9, but believe it or not, that card isn't necessarily the rarest card in the world, isn't necessarily the most populous card in the world. It is quite rare, is what I mean to say. And so the $57,000 or $58,000, pretty much close to it, doesn't really surprise me. That price tag seems about accurate. We did have a PSA 6 first edition shadowless Charizard sell for $8,300. If you remember earlier in the history of the channel, I did have 2 of these graded. One came back a 6. So it's insane to see how much that card has gone up in value since in the course of a year. It is nearly insane. The next 3, I actually want to sort of keep in all on the same page. We have first edition base set shadowless sealed blister packs. Mind you, these guys were about $2,000 a year ago. The Venusaur was $15,100, as was the Blastoise. One thing I thought was really interesting is that the Charizard sold for less, which I always thought Charizard artwork would be more expensive than the other 2, but for some reason the other 2 sold for $5,100, and this one only sold for $12,300. Now, all that said, this is a sealed blister pack, so this is actually a very important sale because it now can help us to sort of triangulate what the price of a lone booster pack should be. These are sealed, so effectively they carry a premium over a loose booster pack. A light booster pack should sell for less than these, and a heavy booster pack should sell for more. If a booster box sold for $360,000 the other day, then each pack is about $12,000, meaning, each pack is about $10,000, meaning that $1,500 for a sealed booster pack probably puts us in the range of about anywhere from $25,000 to $30,000 for a heavy pack, and about $9,000 to $8,000 for a light pack. Now again, those are just numbers that I'm throwing out based on my own experience and seeing how much premium a heavy booster pack carries versus a light pack versus a blister pack. But in the past, that is the way these prices have behaved. So it's something to definitely consider as we go forward. Obviously, the best way of answering my question and sort of dealing with my theory will probably be, hey, let's go ahead and buy the pack, and once we see it sell at auction, we'll be able to really make a determination as to how much a light pack sells for and how much a heavy pack sells for. Because up till now, we have booster packs, and then these are the only blister packs that have sold recently after all the price jumps. So interesting to see. I definitely look forward to seeing these packs only continue to appreciate in value. This is some of the original classic stuff, so there's no substitute. I did watch a Fossil Articuno PSA 9 sold for $311. That seems relatively affordable in the grand scheme of things, may I just say. We had a Fossil First Edition factory sealed box sell for $16,610. Not a bad price, a little bit less than it has in previous months, so actually kind of surprising that that is the price it sold for, but I did expect to see a decline in price. I will say I didn't expect it to happen on PWCC, but I mean, if it happens, it happens, and I guess there's no time like the present for it to happen. So it ended up being a situation where PWCC's auction sort of saw the tipping point, and now we're seeing a gradual sort of decline, or at least a temporary slope downward for the prices on Fossil stuff. Fossil's just not as popular as base set, obviously, and I would believe Jungle would be the second most popular. So just something to keep in mind and watch, but if you are looking at Fossil stuff, now may be a good time to purchase. Again, just purely based on the fact that if the booster box has declined, one would assume everything around it would also kind of contract temporarily. Next up, we have a Neo Genesis First Edition Lugia PSA 10 Gem Mint. This was probably the biggest surprise of the entire set of auctions, $129,000. Now, this Lugia card is notoriously difficult to grade for two big reasons. One, it's a Neo card, meaning the print runs are just terrible. And then secondly, the fact that it has a massive holographic pattern on it. Now, either way, $129,000 was unprecedented, and I think this just kind of goes to show that the demand isn't necessarily purely in Charizards. There is a very clear and resounding demand for other cards such as Lugia and other Pokemon, and this is evidence to that. I think the other big question that this raises for me is, if the Lugia is going to sell for this much, I wonder how much the Typhlosion out of the same set, the T17, is going to sell for as PSA 10. The only reason why I think the price may be smaller is because I would believe Lugia has far larger appeal to a larger audience, being a legendary Pokemon, versus Typhlosion, who, although it's a starter Pokemon, I feel like people would prefer Lugia over Typhlosion, because it is the second fire starter Pokemon. But I guess we can remain and kind of see where we're at. Next up is two of the exact same card. I thought these would be fun to compare side by side because there's an actual real interesting phenomena that we're seeing here. So here is a PSA 9 and a BGS 9. The same number grade, but look at the difference in price. The PSA 9 on this 2002 Holo Charizard went for $1,700. The same exact number grade, BGS 9, went for $1,125. So that just goes to show you how it's hard to say. It's like how far apart the demand for the same number grade is based on what grade what professional grading service you got it graded at. It's just really interesting to see because they are very disparate, and it's quite like a very stunningly blatant difference between the two. So it's interesting to see. This is another one of those Charizards that a lot of people argue has been slept on for years now. Expedition is often forgotten when you consider the E-Series sets, mainly because Aquapolis introduces the Crystal Pokemon and Skyridge is Skyridge, so it's often very difficult to argue for Expedition, but a lot of people have argued that this particular card especially is one of the neatest Charizards that you'll see around, and it probably will get more attention in the future, especially when PSA 10s of that card end up going for auction. Finally but not least, we have the very first page, again just kind of highlighting some of the big stuff that's gone down. Got a Neo Destiny First Edition Shining Charizard PSA 10, $25,000. So a pretty significant premium on that card. It's a Charizard, it is flying. Not the best Charizard artwork I've ever seen, but pretty cool nonetheless. You got a 2003 EX Dragon Hollow Dragonite. PSA 9 went for $430. Again, relatively affordable in the grand scheme of things, but probably not the most in-demand Dragonite card to ever exist. But, you know, just interesting to kind of keep our finger on the pulse of EX era cards, which we'll talk a little bit more about a little bit later on in this video. Got this 2003 Skyridge Charizard. So the same $25,100. This is the Hollow Crystal Charizard. Pretty dope card. Interesting that both of these cards, both Charizards, sold for the same exact amount of money. The one thing I would say is that the Skyridge Charizard has historically been more demanded, so I'd argue it's probably more impressive on the Neo Discovery Charizard to sell for as much as the Skyridge card. However, the opposite argument could be made. One could argue that, hey, this 2003 card and this 2002 card, well, wow, they sold for the same price, even though this one is quote-unquote not as old. At this point, I'd care to counter that argument by saying most cards are going to be considered vintage at this point anyway. So even if you're looking at a year's difference, even 5 years difference, 2002 to 2007, everything's going to be considered vintage and carry a significant premium. It might not be, you know, WotC versus Nintendo era difference, but I would argue everything's vintage at that point. But that's just me rambling. Here is another card. So now we move into the EX era, and here are the 4 cards that we're going to be looking at, starting from the bottom and working our way up. EX Deoxys Gold Star Rayquaza PSA 9 sold for $11,200. This card I have a pretty solid history with. Sold for $6,800 last year as a PSA 10. Now almost double the price for a PSA 9. That's really all I have to say on that card for now, because the next card we have to look at is the Charizard card. Now, the Charizard Gold Star is a really weird card because among all of the set Gold Star cards, meaning cards that you pulled out of sets from the EX era, Charizard and Rayquaza have always been the two that have effectively led the way. So, you know, it could have been Charizard this week, Rayquaza this week. It seemed like Rayquaza was pulling ahead because last year Rayquaza took a demanding lead and just never let up. And then we saw a PSA 10 sell for almost 30 grand, and now I think no one's getting offers less than that. So for the 44 PSA 10s that exist in the world, I would argue that this is the uncontested king of Pokemon Gold Star cards graded as a PSA 10. When I saw this auction go up, I thought it was going to be really interesting to watch whether or not this Charizard card would once again exceed Rayquaza. It didn't. Apparently, the bidder bid $25,100 and they won it. Now, I think personally, the same person won this Crystal Charizard and this Neo Destiny Charizard. I find it too coincidental that all 3 of them have the same exact final bid price on them. But what's interesting is that this card did not sell for as much as a Gold Star Rayquaza card. So even after all of that, Rayquaza still holds the crown. And believe you me, if this card is willing to sell for $25,100, I have a feeling that Rayquaza card as a PSA 10 is now a $40,000 Pokemon card at the minimum. But that's just a theory of mine. Next up, we have a Gold Star Mewtwo PSA 10 Gem Mint, $5,000. The Gold Star cards are secretly kind of taking over. And this Mewtwo, I had a feeling it was going to break its previous high of only about $2,500. Just based on my own thoughts, I was like, this is going to be a fan favorite card. It is Mewtwo, it is a Gold Star, and it is a shiny Mewtwo. I can't see why it wouldn't sell for, well over $5,000. And it hit my estimation. And so I think it's amazing that it sold for that much. Again, I think there's a lot of potential for the gold stars going forward as well, because effectively that's that next generation of shining Pokemon, of first edition holo Pokemon. After that, you have the EXs and the gold stars, and I really do think there's a lot of room for them to sort of develop going into the future. Finally but not least, we have a Pop Series 5 Gold Star Espeon PS5 Espeon. Jesus, I sound like a Twitch streamer that just got into this. LOL, love you guys, Twitch streamers, love you. So the reason that I watch this card, even though it's only a PSA 5, is because I am really curious about how much these gold stars sell. Now, in case you're curious, these gold stars, the way they worked is you only got them in the promotional Pokemon Organized Play or Pop series packs that were given out in the summer, right before the final EX era sets were released. So these are 2 gold star cards that you could only get from those packs, meaning there's a very small population of them to begin with. Apparently, the rumored pull rates are anywhere from 1 in 40 to 1 in 75 packs, and I believe each player only ever got 1 pack. And then, on top of that, what's interesting is that these cards are non-holographic. So this Espeon and this Umbreon, both cards of which you could pull from Pop Series 5, are both non-holographic. They were only released as holographic in Japan as prize cards. So, as a PSA 10, they used to sell for like $2,000 a year ago. Fun story, I accidentally bought my Espeon. So, it was a weird thing where I typed in a number and then submitted it, and then I was like, oh no, what have I done? The guy accepted, and I just paid it. I was like, all right, whatever. So that's why I call it an accidental accident. And then, now I have no regrets, but obviously in the past I like offered a little bit above market value, and I was like, ugh, I don't know if this was a smart move. Obviously it ended up being that. So what I'm curious about is that since the PSA 5 sold for, and fun fact, my PSA 10 a year ago was about $2,200. So given that a PSA 5 has sold for $1,500, and given that these are gold star cards, and amongst that evolutions, and amongst that some of the rarest gold stars, I'm curious to see what a PSA 10 will go for. I have seen them listed for $20,000, but I think that might actually be a cheap deal. I personally feel like, because I feel like if they went on auction at either a auction house or a good eBay seller, I think they could easily fetch 30 grand, the same as the Rayquaza. At that point, the only question will be, is the Rayquaza going to go up because it's more demanded, or is it going to stay the same or shrink because these cards have taken the new lead? So, with that said, friends, thanks again for checking out another video. Tons of eBay stuff happening, and it's fun to watch. I don't think we're going to see much more of this for the year. I think for the most part, I don't think anyone's going to try to break eBay with like another crazy set of auctions. I have a feeling Fido might throw up some stuff, but other than that, I don't necessarily think anyone's trying to move product right now. With the 25th anniversary coming right around the corner, it's probably going to be a situation where most people are comfortable kind of waiting for a little bit and then really taking action once they know for a fact they'll be able to make big money riding that 25th anniversary wave. But let me know what you guys thought about today's video. As always, I appreciate your viewership, and if you'd like to show your support, you can leave a like on this video. You can ask any questions or comments down below in the comment section. Of course, the best way you can help support the channel is by leaving a big old subscribe on the channel. I don't know if that's the way it's said, but whatever. And yeah, so subscribe, because that helps the channel and stuff. And other than that, of course, I appreciate your viewership. I realize there are many other PokeTubers you could be watching right now, so I appreciate you taking some time to spend a few minutes of your day with me. As always, hope you had an amazing holiday week or day, whatever is applicable to you. Thanks again for checking out today's video, and I'll talk to you guys real soon. Peace.